the permanent representative of Sri Lanka to the United Nations, His Excellency Ambassador Mohan Pieris, to deliver his remarks. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ambassador Harish, for inviting me to this very important occasion where we celebrate International Day of Nonviolence. It is said that in one of the most famous quotations about Mahatma Gandhi by Albert Einstein, quote, when he said, "Generations to come will scarce believe that such a one as this walked the earth in flesh and in blood." This reflects Gandhi's profound impact, my dear friends, on humanity and his legacy of peace and nonviolence. Excellencies, the present-day world is passing through a period of transition. Unimaginable changes have been witnessed these past years. Against this backdrop, permit me the honor of presenting a few thoughts in today's endeavor as we seek to draw a comparison between the highest values that have been prescribed for humanity by one of the greatest of humankind and an entity which has been created by we, the people, in a charter with the intention to uphold the highest values of freedom for humankind in the hope of ensuring that we live in peace and in dignity. In the words of Roland, a great humanist and Nobel laureate for literature, a proponent of pacifism, who said that, and this is what he said, that at this critical juncture, we must learn from this apostle of nonviolence, the apostle of nonviolence, a man whose spiritual legacy could rightly be termed one of humanity's priceless treasures, a miracle of the 20th century. He said, one is struck at Gandhi's relentless and unshakable optimism. Optimism has been the mark, he said, of virtually every outstanding personality, whether philosopher or statesman, since ancient times. It is, however, perhaps impossible, he said, to find an example that compares to Gandhi, of a person whose every action and accomplishment bears the mark of a pure, refreshing optimism, untainted by the slightest hint of showmanship. Close quotes. And as Gandhi himself said, I remain an optimist, not that there is any evidence that I can give that right is going to prosper, but because of my unflinching faith that right must prosper in the end. My optimism, he said, rests on my belief in the infinite possibilities of the individual to develop non-violence. So, my dear friends, as we delve into the parallels between Gandhian philosophy, deeply rooted in non-violence, truth and social justice and the values enshrined in the United Nations Charter, it doesn't take long, I say, Ambassador, to appreciate that Gandhi's principles of ahimsa, which we have spoken much about all this time, of non-violence, satyagraha, truth and non-violent resistance, and self-reliance significantly influenced the global discourse on human rights, on peace, and of international cooperation. Mahatma Gandhi's values of non-violence, truth, self-reliance, and justice continue, I say, to shape modern discussions on human rights and global justice. My dear friends, if one looks at the key Gandhian values as against of the UN Charter, Gandhi's principle of ahimsa, non-violence in thought, word, and action, is foundational to his worldview. Non-violence is not only a strategy, but resisting oppression, but also a way of living in harmony with others. Now, when you contrast that with Article 1 of the UN Charter, it stresses the importance of maintaining international peace and security through peaceful means, mirroring, I say, Gandhi's advocacy for non-violent resolution. If you look at satyagraha, Gandhi's concept of literally truth force involves the active pursuit of truth through non-violent resistance and emphasizes the moral power of nonviolence as a tool for achieving justice. If we look at Article 2 of the Charter, through peaceful means resonates with Satyagrah's emphasis on ethical and peaceful resistance. Just to say a word on Sarvodaya, the welfare for all. Gandhi's concept of Sarvodaya, or the upliftment of all, is rooted in the idea that the well-being of each individual is connected to the well-being of the community. Now, this idea promotes equality, justice, sustainable development. Now, the UN Charter's preamble in Article 55 emphasizes economic and social development for all nations, reflecting Gandhian ideals of inclusivity and universal welfare. So, my dear friends, Gandhi also believed in economic self-reliance and decentralization, or Swadeshi and decentralized governance as a means to empower local communities. His vision of sustainable, locally driven economy opposed the centralization of power and resources. Article 55 of the UN Charter also advocates economic independence and cooperation for the promotion of development, especially amongst developing countries. Then on human rights and dignity, the UN's core commitment to human rights, as in Article 1, aligns closely, I say, with Gandhi's respect for individual dignity and equality. Gandhi's campaign against untouchability and for the rights of the marginalized groups reflected his belief in the inherent dignity of all human beings. The UN Charter's focus on peaceful resolution of conflicts and the prevention of wars mirrors again, I say, Gandhi's lifelong commitment to resolving disputes through dialogue and non-violent means. On the aspect of social justice and equality, Gandhi's struggle for social justice, particularly in the fight against caste discrimination and gender inequality, aligns with the UN Charter's goal of promoting social progress and better standards of life for all, as mirrored in Article 55. So, my dear friends, the influence on the UN and the peace movements, Gandhi's philosophy directly has a profound influence on the founding values, I say, of the United Nations, and has continued to inspire international movements. Just to say a word about the challenges and criticisms. So while Gandhian values align with the UN Charter, Ambassador, some critics argue that the global system, including the United Nations, often prioritizes Western political and economic interests, which may conflict with Gandhian vision of decentralized power and economic independence. So in conclusion, the conclusion therefore can be drawn by affirming the enduring relevance, I say, of Gandhian values in today's world, as the UN continues its efforts towards global peace and of justice. The principles of nonviolence, truth, equality, as espoused by Gandhi, remains, I believe, a crucial, I say, in shaping a more just and sustainable future. I thank you.